What's the first thing you say to yourself when you wake up? Not out loud, but in your mind, before the world even hears your voice. That moment, the first breath after your eyes open, is more powerful than you realize. It's the invisible space where your story begins. And in that space, your thoughts are either building you or breaking you. Most people wake up already defeated. The weight of yesterday presses on their chest before their feet even hit the floor. They think about what went wrong, what's missing, or how much they have to do. But what if instead you took control of that moment? What if you told yourself something that shifted everything? The truth is, your mornings are not just routines, they're rituals. They shape your energy, your choices, and how the world meets you. Think about it. If the first thing you feed your mind is doubt, stress, or comparison, how can you expect peace? How can you expect clarity or confidence? You can't build strength from a place of panic. You can't grow when you're starting your day from survival mode. That's why you must take back that moment. You must learn to speak power into yourself before the world has a chance to speak fear. Look at the mirror each morning, not to judge yourself, but to recognize yourself, to see the fighter, the survivor, the creator staring back, and say something that reminds you of who you are. You are not the person the world tried to shape. You are the person you decide to become. Every morning is your reset button. You don't need permission to grow. You don't need validation to change. You need intention. Just a few focused seconds to align with your truth before distraction takes over. The reason this matters so much is because your thoughts are seeds. What you plant in the morning grows throughout your day. Plant fear, and fear multiplies. Plant strength, and strength shows up in your words, your actions, your posture. It becomes the way you walk into rooms, the way you say no, the way you hold your boundaries. It becomes the difference between surviving your day and owning it. And when you start doing this consistently, when you stop letting mornings slip by without intention, you don't just change your day, you change your identity. Because who you are is not built in grand, dramatic moments. It's built in the small, silent choices you make when no one is watching. Like what you say to yourself when you're half awake, alone with your thoughts. That's where the real power lives. And if you stay with me, if you commit to learning the 9 truths to tell yourself every morning, your days will start to feel different. You'll feel stronger, more focused, more grounded. You'll stop living on autopilot. You'll start living with purpose. And that purpose will carry you through anything life throws at you. This isn't motivation. This is mental armor. And it starts now. Tell yourself this: I am in control of my mind. Say it again slowly. Let it echo in the silence of your morning. Because the moment you claim ownership of your mind, everything begins to shift. Most people wake up already drowning in thoughts that don't serve them. Worries they didn't ask for, fears they didn't choose, noise that doesn't belong. But here's the truth. Your mind is not a cage unless you leave the door open. It's not chaos unless you let it run wild. You are not your anxiety. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who sees them. And if you can see them, you can lead them. The brain is powerful, but it's also programmable. And every morning, you're either programming it with fear or with focus. That's why this affirmation isn't just a sentence. It's a switch. It snaps you out of unconscious loops and brings you back to the driver's seat. When you tell yourself, I am in control of my mind, you're building a new identity. One that doesn't break under pressure. One that doesn't spiral into what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. You're taking your power back from the noise. You're telling your mind, you work for me now. It's not about never having negative thoughts. It's about not letting them own you. They'll come. They always do. But now, you meet them with presence, with command. You don't fight them. You outgrow them. Redirect. You decide what gets to stay and what gets dismissed. That's mental strength. That's emotional maturity. And it starts the moment you stop reacting and start choosing. You weren't born with doubt. It was taught, conditioned, repeated, and just like it was installed, it can be uninstalled. That's the power of awareness. That's the power of choice. When you remind yourself that you control your mind, you reclaim the most important territory you'll ever walk through, your inner world. And once you master that space, everything outside of you loses its power to control you. This is where confidence is born. Not in what others think, but in how deeply you trust yourself. When your mind becomes your ally instead of your enemy, nothing feels impossible. You stop being a prisoner of mood swings, triggers, or doubts. You rise above the noise. You respond with clarity. You move with purpose. And suddenly, life doesn't feel like a storm you're trying to survive. It becomes a current you know how to navigate. Repeat this truth every morning until it becomes instinct. Say it until your body believes it. Say it until your fear doesn't recognize you anymore. Say it because you need to hear it. And because the world needs what you become when you believe it. You are in control of your mind. You are the thinker, not the thought. The creator, not the chaos. And this is the moment that power begins to feel real. Hold on to it. Let it lead you. Tell yourself this: I am enough, exactly as I am. Let that sink in. Not as a nice phrase, but as truth. Because your entire life, the world has tried to convince you otherwise. That you're not tall enough, smart enough, successful enough, beautiful enough. That something is missing. That you must fix, improve, earn, or achieve before you deserve to feel whole. But that is a lie. A slow, silent lie that eats away at your confidence. It keeps you chasing approval. It keeps you addicted to validation. And worst of all, it keeps you from seeing the truth that's always been there. You are already worthy. This is not about settling. It's about starting from a place of strength instead of shame. You can want more for your life and still believe in yourself now. You can have goals and still accept your reflection. You don't have to hate who you are to grow. In fact, true growth only happens when it's fueled by self-respect, not self-rejection. When you tell yourself, I am enough, you stop begging for love. You stop proving your value. You stop shrinking for others. You rise in your own power. You finally breathe. There is something powerful about standing in your truth without apology. When you wake up and claim your enoughness, you're not just boosting your confidence. You're rewiring your identity. You're telling your nervous system it's safe to be seen. You're allowing yourself to show up fully, without masks, without editing yourself to fit someone else's version of you. That kind of self-trust changes everything. It changes how you speak, how you walk, how you lead, how you love. Frees you. The world may not always affirm your worth. People may judge you, misunderstand you, overlook you. But none of that means anything unless you believe it. Their opinions are not mirrors unless you choose to reflect them. What matters is what you believe when you're alone, when no one is watching, when it's just you, your thoughts, and the silence. In that moment, tell yourself the truth: you are enough. Not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are a work of intention, growth, and fire. Every flaw is a mark of your journey, every scar, a story of survival. You don't have to wait for the perfect body, the perfect job, the perfect relationship to believe in yourself. Start now, right here. Speak it, even if your voice trembles. Believe it, even if doubt whispers, because the more you repeat it, the more it becomes real. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about building a foundation strong enough to hold your future, a foundation made of self-acceptance, not self-hate. So every morning, remind yourself, speak it out loud, own it. I am enough, exactly as I am. And that is where your power begins. Tell yourself this: I am responsible for my energy. Because every day, you are either radiating power or leaking it. And what determines that isn't what happens to you, it's how you choose to show up. Most people give away their energy without realizing it. They hand it over to people who drain them, to thoughts that sabotage them, to distractions that rob them of clarity. But your energy is sacred. It's your life force. And once you claim ownership of it, you stop being a victim of your environment and start becoming the architect of your experience. The world is loud. It wants your attention, your reaction, your emotion. But not everything deserves a response. Not everyone earns access to your inner world. When you wake up in the morning and remind yourself that you are responsible for your energy, you take back what the world tries to steal: your focus, your peace, your power. That one decision sets the tone for everything that follows. It becomes your shield, your boundary, your standard. Energy is not just about how you feel, it's about what you attract. When you carry stress, resentment, or bitterness, you magnetize more of it. But when you move with intention, calm, and strength, you draw in peace, opportunity, and respect. People can feel the difference. You walk differently, speak differently, think differently, and most importantly, you don't allow chaos to live rent-free in your mind. You become selective. You start asking, does this align with the energy I want to carry today? If it doesn't, you release it. This is not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally intelligent. Knowing when to engage and when to let go. Knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. When you own your energy, you stop reacting to life and start responding to it. You don't let your circumstances dictate your state. You decide who you want to be, and you hold that frequency regardless of what's going on outside you. It's easy to blame the world for how we feel. Easy to point at the news, the noise, the people who misunderstand us. But none of that is more powerful than your ability to choose your internal state. Your peace is your responsibility. Your clarity is your responsibility. No one is coming to rescue your energy. You are the one who must protect it. Every time you center yourself, every time you pause before reacting, every time you breathe instead of explode, you're proving to yourself that you are in control. Start your day by making that choice. Remind yourself, no one gets to decide my energy but me. I will not be pulled into drama. I will not allow anxiety to lead. I will not give power to things that do not serve my purpose. My energy is mine, and I will guard it like my future depends on it. Because it does. Say it until it becomes real. Live it until it becomes who you are. That's where strength begins. Tell yourself this: I do not chase, I attract. Say it with certainty, not desperation. Because when you truly believe it, everything begins to align. You stop running after things that were never meant for you. You stop begging for attention, approval, or love. You stop trying to prove your worth through overgiving or overextending. And instead, you start becoming the kind of person who draws in what is aligned. Not because you're lucky, but because you're magnetic. That kind of power can't be faked. It comes from within. It comes from knowing who you are and refusing to settle for less. Attraction is not about manipulation. It's about alignment. When your values match your actions, when your energy matches your standards, when your presence matches your words, that's when you become a force. People notice. Opportunities unfold. Life opens up, not because you chase it down, but because you are finally in a space to receive it. When you're no longer focused on what you lack, you make room for what you deserve. You stop being needy. You become needed. This is not about waiting in silence. It's about rising with intention. You work on yourself, not to be chosen, but to become unshakable. You grow into the kind of person who doesn't just want good things. You attract them because you are already aligned with them. You carry peace. You carry purpose. You carry self-respect. And when you walk into a room, you don't try to be seen. You are seen because your energy speaks before you do. Chasing comes from fear. Fear of missing out, fear of not being enough, fear of being forgotten. But attraction comes from trust. Trust that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. Trust that you don't have to force connections or chase recognition. You simply have to become the version of yourself that naturally draws in what's right. When you stop overreaching, you give the universe space to meet you halfway. When you stop grasping, you finally get to hold. Say it every morning until it replaces the old pattern. Until your nervous system no longer panics when things don't come instantly. Until your spirit remembers that patience is not passivity, it's power. You don't have to fight for your place in the world. You don't have to beg to be valued. You just have to become someone who refuses to shrink for anything that doesn't align. That's how you attract what's real. You are not behind. You are not invisible. You are in preparation. You are becoming the version of you that no longer tolerates crumbs, no longer compromises your boundaries, no longer chases what walks away. From this moment forward, you attract because you are clear. You attract because you are intentional. You attract because you are whole. Speak it, feel it, live it. Do not chase. I attract. And what is mine will find me. Because I know who I am. Tell yourself this: I am not my past. Say it with courage. Say it with the full weight of everything you've been through, and then let it go. Because holding on to your past like it defines you will only keep you stuck in a version of yourself you've already outgrown. You are not the mistakes you made. You are not the pain you endured. You are not the person you had to become just to survive. That was a chapter, not your entire story. And you have the power to turn the page, to write something new, to become someone stronger. Too often we carry guilt, shame, and regret like armor, thinking it protects us from falling again. But all it really does is weigh us down. It keeps us from rising, from healing, from starting over. You don't need to keep punishing yourself for what you didn't know back then. You didn't fail. You learned. You didn't break. You adapted. And even if it left scars, those scars are not signs of weakness. They are signs of resilience. They mean you made it, and now you have the wisdom to move differently. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to leave environments that hurt you. You are allowed to evolve without explanation. Letting go of the past doesn't mean you forget it. It means you no longer let it control you. You no longer replay old conversations in your head, hoping for a different outcome. You stop holding onto resentment like it will fix what's already gone. You stop identifying with a version of yourself that you no longer relate to, because your power is in who you are now and who you are becoming. You are not here to repeat cycles. You are here to break them, to shift the narrative, to choose healing even when it's hard. You don't owe the past anything but gratitude for the lessons it gave you. Everything you've lived through prepared you for this moment. The strength, the clarity, the deeper self-awareness. It's all yours now. So don't waste another second looking back in shame. Look forward with purpose. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's freedom. And the first person you need to forgive is yourself, for the times you stayed too long, for the words you never said, for the boundaries you didn't know how to set. You did the best you could with what you had, and now you know better. So now, you do better. Release the version of you that only knew how to survive. Make space for the one who's ready to thrive. Start this day with that power. Tell yourself with clarity and conviction, I am not my past. I am not what hurt me. I am not who I was. I am who I choose to be today, and that choice will always be stronger than anything behind me. The past doesn't own you. You own this moment. And this is where everything changes. Tell yourself this, I am enough, exactly as I am. Let those words echo through every doubt, every fear, every voice that ever told you otherwise. Because for far too long, you've measured your worth against impossible standards, trying to be more, give more, achieve more, just to feel like you matter. But enough is not something you earn. It's something you decide. And the moment you accept that truth, you begin to take your power back from everything and everyone that made you question your value. The world has trained you to believe you must constantly hustle to prove yourself. That you have to look a certain way, talk a certain way, succeed a certain way, but none of that defines you. Your value is not up for negotiation. You are not a project to be fixed. You are a person to be honored. And the more you chase perfection, the more you disconnect from your truth. You weren't born to impress. You were born to express, to live from the inside out, not the outside in. Being enough doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop shrinking. You stop criticizing every flaw, comparing every detail, overanalyzing every move. You stop delaying your joy, waiting until you're more polished, more accomplished, more accepted. Because the truth is, if you can't feel whole now, you won't feel whole then. No title, no number, no compliment will ever fill the emptiness you carry when you don't believe in your own worth. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to show up imperfectly and still be worthy of love and respect. Enough doesn't mean you've arrived. It means you've realized you don't need to chase something outside of yourself to feel like you belong. You already do, right now, as you are. With all your strengths, your wounds, your growth and progress. You are enough for this moment. You are enough for this life. That kind of belief is a revolution. It shifts your decisions, your boundaries, your relationships. Because when you know you're enough, you no longer beg to be seen. You no longer tolerate what drains you. You no longer perform just to feel valuable. You live from a place of truth, not approval. And from that place, everything changes. Look in the mirror and speak it out loud. I am enough. Not because I've done everything right, not because others say so, but because I choose to believe it, because I refuse to let fear write my worth, because I am done waiting for permission to feel whole. Today, I remind myself that enough isn't a destination, it's a decision I make with every breath. And I choose it now, I claim it now, because I am enough. Not someday, not maybe, now. And that is more than enough. Tell yourself this. I have the power to choose my thoughts. That is your first freedom. The mind may wander, doubts may whisper, fears may rise. But you are not helpless in the face of them. You are the observer, the chooser, the gatekeeper of your mental world. And once you remember that, you no longer sit in silence while negative thoughts invade your peace. You respond, you redirect, you reclaim control. Because nothing shapes your reality more than the thoughts you feed. Most people don't even realize how often they speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to another person. Harsh, dismissive, critical. But you are listening to every word you say to yourself. And if that inner voice keeps telling you that you're not smart enough, strong enough, worthy enough, Eventually you start to believe it. You start to live from it. That becomes your lens, and through that lens, life feels smaller, heavier, dimmer. But you can interrupt that cycle. You can challenge that voice and rewrite the script. Your mind is not your enemy. It just needs direction. It needs your leadership. When a thought arises that says I can't, replace it with I will try. When it says I'm failing, counter it with I'm learning. This is not about lying to yourself. It's about telling yourself the truth, the whole truth. And the truth is that you are more capable, more resilient, more resourceful than those old thoughts allow. The truth is that fear distorts your view, but courage clears it. And that clarity begins with conscious thinking. You don't have to believe every thought that enters your mind. You don't have to entertain every fear that knocks on the door. Just because a thought is loud doesn't mean it's true. Just because it feels familiar doesn't mean it serves you. You are allowed to question it. You are allowed to let it go. You are allowed to replace it with something stronger, something kinder, something that pulls you forward instead of holding you back. When you wake up in the morning, remind yourself of this power. Say it with intention. Today, I choose my thoughts. I choose thoughts that uplift me. I choose thoughts that align with who I want to become. I choose to believe in my ability to grow, because your mind will follow where you lead it. And the more you guide it towards strength, the more your life begins to mirror that strength. It's not magic. It's mastery. You are not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are the master of them. And that mastery begins with awareness, intention, and repetition. Feed your mind what it needs to thrive. Speak life into your thinking. Choose beliefs that build you, not break you. You have that power. You always did. Use it, guard it, lead with it. And everything within you will begin to rise. Tell yourself this: I do not chase approval, I own my truth. Because the need to be liked has silenced too many voices, dimmed too many lights, and buried too many dreams. You were not created to shrink yourself for someone else's comfort. You were not meant to be a mirror of other people's expectations. The constant chase for approval is a game you can never win. No matter how much you give, how much you shapeshift, how much you sacrifice, someone will still disapprove. So the question becomes, will you abandon yourself to win others? Or will you stand firmly in your truth and let the world adjust? There is freedom in no longer needing validation. There is power in realizing that your worth is not determined by how many people clap for you. Approval is addictive. It tricks your mind into thinking that external praise is the same as internal peace. But they are not the same. Peace comes from alignment, from authenticity, from choosing yourself even when others don't. When you live to be accepted, you become a prisoner to the opinions of others. But when you live to be honest with yourself first, you unlock something rare: inner freedom. You don't need to explain yourself to be understood. You don't need to soften your voice to be heard. You don't need to bend your truth just to avoid rejection. What you need is courage. The courage to be disliked if it means being real. The courage to lose approval but gain respect. Your own. Because every time you choose approval over authenticity, you teach yourself that being accepted is more important than being free. And freedom always costs something. It costs the willingness to walk alone. It costs the discipline to stay grounded in your values. But that cost is nothing compared to the price of betraying yourself every day just to fit in. You are not here to convince people to see your worth. You are here to live it. You are here to speak your truth, walk your path, and let your light shine unapologetically. And those who are meant for you will see you clearly without needing you to beg, prove, or perform. So choose yourself. Not because you're perfect, but because you're honest. Not because you're always right, but because you're real. That realness is what sets you apart. That realness is what builds unshakable confidence. Say it with your chest and with your heart. I do not need approval to validate my voice. I will not abandon my truth to be accepted. I will not dim myself to avoid judgment. I was not made to blend in. I was made to be whole. And I choose wholeness over approval every time. Because nothing is more powerful than a soul no longer willing to chase what it already carries within. Permission to be exactly who they are. Tell yourself this: I deserve to rest without guilt. In a world that glorifies constant productivity, rest often feels like a luxury or a weakness. But rest is not optional. It's essential. Your mind, body, and soul need space to breathe, to heal, to regenerate. When you allow yourself to rest, you honor your humanity. You acknowledge that you are not a machine. You give yourself permission to pause, not because you are lazy, but because you are wise enough to know that endurance depends on renewal. The pressure to always be on can wear down even the strongest spirit. Anxiety creeps in when rest feels impossible, when downtime is replaced by endless to-do lists and the fear of falling behind. But what if the opposite is true? What if rest is not the enemy of success, but its foundation? What if the moments you take to recharge are the very moments that make you sharper, stronger, and more resilient? You are not less productive when you rest. You are preparing yourself to be your best. Rest is not just sleep. It is silence in a noisy mind. It is stillness in a rushing world. It is a break from expectations, a moment of self-kindness, a radical act of self-respect. When you rest, you create space for clarity. You listen to what your soul truly needs. You reconnect with yourself beyond the roles, tasks, and pressures. That connection is the root of sustainable strength, not the endless grind. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Recognizing this is not selfish, it is necessary. Tell yourself it's okay to say no to things that drain you, even if they are important. It's okay to step back without explaining yourself. Boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges to preservation. When you protect your energy through rest, you increase your capacity to love, to create, to fight for your dreams. Exhaustion is a warning sign, not a badge of honor. Listening to that warning saves you from burnout, from bitterness, from breakdown. You deserve to rest and still feel worthy. You deserve to pause without feeling like you failed. Your value is not tied to how busy you are or how much you produce. It is inherent. It is constant. And when you claim that, you reclaim balance. You stop being a prisoner to hustle culture and start becoming the architect of your life, one where rest is part of the blueprint, not an afterthought. So every morning remind yourself, I deserve rest. I honor my limits. I prioritize my peace. I am enough in my stillness and powerful in my pause. Rest fuels my journey, it does not stop it. I will not apologize for taking the time to care for myself. I am worthy of calm, of quiet, of renewal. I give myself permission to rest deeply and rise stronger. Because rest is not weakness, it is a source of unshakable power. Tell yourself this, I am allowed to fail, and I will rise anyway. Fear of failure is one of the most paralyzing forces in life. It convinces you that falling short defines you, that mistakes are proof of weakness, that setbacks mean you are not enough. But failure is not the enemy. Failure is the pathway to growth. Every success you've ever admired was built on a foundation of failures, hidden beneath the surface, unspoken but undeniable. To fear failure is to fear becoming better, to fear change, to fear life itself. And yet, the truth is that failing does not diminish you. Refusing to try does. Failure is a lesson disguised in discomfort. It reveals what doesn't work so you can move closer to what does. It strips away illusions of perfection and invites raw authenticity. When you accept that failure is inevitable, it frees you from the need to be flawless. That freedom unleashes courage. The courage to try, to experiment, to step into uncertainty knowing you will stumble, but also knowing you will get back up. Every time you rise after a fall, you grow stronger, wiser, more resilient. Your spirit expands. Your capacity for success deepens. You don't fail because you're weak. You fail because you're human. You don't fail because you lack worth. You fail because you are pushing your boundaries, reaching for something greater. Every failure contains a seed of transformation, but that seed only grows if you refuse to stay down. You must meet failure with self-compassion instead of self-judgment. You must look it in the eye and say, I am not defined by this moment. I am defined by my will to continue. Your identity is not your failures, it is your persistence, your grit, your refusal to give up. When the voice inside whispers that you can't, remind yourself that the voice of failure is just a visitor. You have the power to decide how long it stays. You can listen, learn, and then let it go. The greatest breakthroughs often come on the heels of the hardest failures. They demand you to show up again, but stronger, smarter, more prepared. Your failures are not a stop sign, they are a stepping stone. Your falls are not final, they are invitations to rise. This is the raw, unfiltered truth of growth. Say it with conviction each morning, I am allowed to fail. I will stumble and fall, but I will rise and fight again. Failure is not my enemy, it is my teacher. I do not need to be perfect to be worthy. My courage is greater than my fear. I embrace failure because I know it brings me closer to success. I am unstoppable because I refuse to let failure define me. This mindset is your armor and your weapon. It gives you the strength to move forward when others quit. It transforms fear into fuel. It turns setbacks into setups for your greatest comeback. Let this truth settle deep within you. Your ability to rise after failure is the ultimate measure of your strength. It's the reason you will succeed when many others give up. Your journey is not about never failing, it's about never staying down. Choose to rise again and again. Choose to keep going no matter what, because your future is waiting on the other side of failure, and you will meet it stronger than ever. Tell yourself this: I control my thoughts, and I will choose those that empower me. Our minds are the battleground where the war for our future is fought every single day. Thoughts arise like waves, some calm, some stormy, but what matters is how you respond. You cannot always control the thoughts that come, but you can control which ones you feed, which ones you give power to. Your mind is not a prison. It is a tool. When you learn to direct your thoughts with intention, you unlock an extraordinary source of strength. Negative thoughts try to sneak in, disguised as truth. They tell you you're not good enough, that your dreams are impossible, that you are destined to fail. But those thoughts are not facts. They are fears wearing masks. And when you believe them, you limit yourself before you even begin. What if you refuse to accept those lies? What if you trained your mind to notice doubt, acknowledge it, and then gently redirect to a thought that fuels hope, courage, and action? The practice of mastering your thoughts is a radical act of self-love and self-respect. Every moment you spend wrestling with negative self-talk is a moment wasted. Instead, decide to take control. Replace I can't with I will try. Replace I'm not worthy with I am enough. These simple shifts are more than words. They are rewiring your brain toward possibility. Neuroscience shows that thoughts repeated become neural pathways. When you consciously choose empowering thoughts, you build new pathways, making strength, confidence, and resilience your natural state. This is how you create your own mental fortress. This choice is not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It is about refusing to let your mind become a breeding ground for defeat. It is about cultivating inner dialogue that encourages growth, celebrates progress, and believes in potential. You become your own coach, your own cheerleader, your own source of motivation. The power of your thoughts shapes your feelings, your actions, and ultimately, your reality. Each morning, declare to yourself, I am the master of my mind. I will choose thoughts that support my growth. I will challenge thoughts that limit me. I will not let fear, doubt, or negativity control my day. I will fill my mind with belief, courage, and clarity. This mindset is not just an idea, it is a practice that demands vigilance and commitment but returns freedom and power. When you take control of your thoughts, you take control of your life. Know this: your thoughts are the architects of your destiny. You can build walls or build bridges, you can create barriers or open doors. The decision is yours. Choose thoughts that elevate you. Choose thoughts that inspire action. Choose thoughts that bring you closer to who you want to become, because your mind is your most valuable asset, and how you treat it today shapes everything tomorrow. Claim that power, own it, and watch your life transform from the inside out. Tell yourself this: I deserve peace, and I will protect it fiercely. In a world that constantly demands more time, more attention, more energy, peace becomes a radical act. It is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Peace is the quiet center where strength is born, where clarity sharpens, and where the courage to face life's challenges grows. Without peace, the noise of the outside world can drown out your purpose, your dreams, and your very soul. But peace is not something that happens to you. It is something you claim, something you guard with fierce devotion. Many believe peace means avoiding conflict, escaping discomfort, or hiding from struggle. But real peace is not the absence of difficulty. It is the presence of resilience, the ability to remain calm and centered even when life storms around you. Peace is the calm within the chaos. It is the sanctuary inside you that cannot be taken away, no matter the external circumstances. When you protect your peace, you create a foundation that holds you steady through the toughest storms. Choosing peace requires boundaries, clear, firm lines you draw to safeguard your energy and your mind. Saying no to what drains you is not selfish, it is self-preservation. Protecting your peace means being selective about what you allow into your mental and emotional space. It means releasing grudges, resentments, and toxic influences that cloud your clarity. You do not have to carry the weight of every hurt, every disappointment, every unfairness. Letting go is not giving up, it is making room for healing and growth. Your peace is your power. When you are at peace, you think more clearly, make better decisions, and act with intention rather than reaction. You are not tossed by every wave of emotion or external pressure. Instead, you move through life with grace and strength. This peace becomes a shield and a source of energy that fuels your purpose. It restores your mind and body, enabling you to show up fully for yourself and others. Tell yourself this each morning: I deserve peace. I will guard it like the most precious treasure. I will set boundaries that protect my heart and mind. I will release what no longer serves me. I will cultivate calm in the face of chaos. This commitment to peace is a daily practice, an act of courage and love. It requires awareness and intention, but the reward is profound. A life anchored in strength, clarity, and joy. Know this truth deep inside: peace is not passive. It is the most active form of strength you can claim. It empowers you to face fear, disappointment, and uncertainty without losing yourself. It frees you to pursue your dreams with focus and resilience. Protecting your peace means choosing yourself, your well-being, and your future every single day. And when you do, you build an unshakable foundation upon which everything else can grow. Claim your peace, defend it, and let it be the source of your unstoppable power. Tell yourself this: I am worthy of love, not because of what I do, but simply because I exist. So often, worthiness is tied to achievement, approval, or external validation. We fall into the trap of believing that we must earn love, that our value depends on meeting expectations or winning approval from others. This belief cuts deep, creating a void where doubt and insecurity thrive. But worthiness is not conditional. It is not a prize to be won. It is your birthright. You are worthy of love, acceptance, and respect exactly as you are right now. When you wake up and affirm your worth, you set the tone for your entire day. This simple truth dissolves the toxic comparisons and self-judgments that hold you back. It frees you from the exhausting chase to prove yourself. Instead, you stand tall in your own value. You become immune to the voices that say you are not enough, not capable, not deserving. Your worth is inherent. It cannot be taken away or diminished by failure, criticism, or rejection. Recognizing this is the first step toward true freedom. Waking up each day knowing you are worthy changes how you treat yourself. You stop accepting toxic treatment from others. You stop settling for less than you deserve. You become your own fiercest advocate and protector. This shifts your relationships, your choices, and your mindset. When you know your worth, you demand respect and kindness. Not arrogance or perfection, but genuine care for yourself. This foundation of self-love strengthens your resilience and fuels your growth. The psychological impact of feeling worthy is profound. Studies show that people with a strong sense of self-worth are more confident, healthier, and more successful. They take risks, set boundaries, and pursue their goals with passion. Worthiness motivates action because it is rooted in self-respect, not fear of failure or rejection. It creates a positive cycle where belief in yourself attracts opportunities and nurtures growth. Your inner voice shifts from doubt to encouragement, from judgment to compassion. Tell yourself today: I am worthy of love, respect, and happiness. I do not have to prove myself to anyone. I am enough exactly as I am. I deserve kindness from others and from myself. This truth is not negotiable. It is the foundation upon which all your dreams rest. Embrace it fully. Let it fill the spaces where insecurity once lived. Let it ignite your courage to be authentic and bold. Remember, worthiness is a daily choice. It requires you to silence the critics inside your head and listen to the voice that says, I am enough. This choice transforms your relationship with yourself and the world. When you live from worthiness, fear loses its grip and freedom expands. You become unstoppable, not because you never fail, but because your value is untouchable. Claim your worth, own it, and watch how everything shifts when you truly believe you deserve the life you dream of. What if you reminded yourself every morning that progress matters more than perfection? The pressure to be flawless can feel crushing, trapping you in a cycle of doubt and procrastination. We often hold ourselves to impossible standards, believing that unless everything is perfect, our efforts are meaningless. But this mindset steals your joy, drains your energy, and freezes you in place. Progress, no matter how small, is the true measure of growth. It is the heartbeat of transformation. When you accept that progress is what counts, you liberate yourself from the tyranny of perfectionism. You give yourself permission to be imperfect, to stumble, to learn. Every step forward, no matter how tiny, builds momentum. It rewires your brain to see possibilities instead of failures. The science of habit formation reveals that consistent small actions create lasting change. You don't need massive leaps to move toward your dreams. You need steady, deliberate progress. This mindset shifts your focus from fear of mistakes to celebration of effort. Telling yourself that progress matters more than perfection opens the door to resilience. When setbacks come, and they will, you won't see them as proof of failure. Instead, they become valuable feedback, clues to refine your approach. Your confidence grows not because you are flawless, but because you keep moving forward despite imperfections. This builds grit, a psychological trait linked to success and fulfillment. Grit emerges when you believe that improvement is a journey, not a fixed destination. Every morning, affirm your commitment to progress. Remind yourself that your worth is not tied to flawless outcomes, but to your courage to try. This simple shift reshapes how you tackle challenges. You stop waiting for the right moment or the perfect plan. You start acting with what you have now, embracing the discomfort of growth. This creates a positive cycle. Action fuels confidence. Confidence fuels more action. Your dreams come closer not by magic, but by this steady, persistent effort. The emotional reward of embracing progress over perfection is profound. You free yourself from self-criticism that drains motivation. You cultivate patience and kindness toward yourself. This compassion heals old wounds and replaces anxiety with hope. The fear that once paralyzed you fades, replaced by curiosity and courage. You begin to trust your capacity to evolve, to adapt, and to create the life you want. Understand that progress is not linear. There will be days when you leap forward and days when you feel stuck. Both are part of the process. The key is to keep moving, even if the steps feel small. Each effort compounds, building strength and clarity. Over time, you will look back and see how far you've come. This recognition fuels deeper motivation and belief in yourself. Start today by telling yourself, I will focus on progress, not perfection. Let this mantra guide your actions and your mindset. Choose to be kind to yourself through every misstep and success. When you do, you unlock a powerful force within, a relentless drive to keep growing no matter what. This is the path to fulfillment. This is the path to your true potential. What if you began each day by telling yourself that your past does not define your future? The weight of yesterday's mistakes, regrets, and missed chances can feel suffocating, dragging your spirit down before you even start. You may carry invisible chains forged by self-doubt and guilt, making it hard to see the possibility of change. But the truth is, every morning offers a clean slate. Your past is a chapter, not the whole story. When you release yourself from its hold, you free your mind to dream, act, and grow in ways you never imagined. This realization is a powerful psychological reset. Holding on to past failures creates a mental barrier that blocks your potential. It traps you in a cycle of negative thinking where fear and shame dictate your choices. But your brain is wired to adapt and rewire. By consciously choosing to let go of what's behind, you open pathways for new beliefs and behaviors. This is neuroplasticity at work, the brain's incredible ability to change itself through intention and action. Your future self depends on the stories you tell yourself right now. Every morning, affirm that you are not your past. You are someone capable of growth, healing, and transformation. This affirmation is more than words. It rewires your neural patterns, shifts your mindset, and changes how you show up in the world. The emotional relief that comes from this freedom is immense. Anxiety, regret, and shame lose their grip. They no longer hold you hostage. Instead, you cultivate hope, courage, and a forward-looking mindset that fuels progress. Releasing your past also builds resilience. When you stop defining yourself by previous setbacks, you are less likely to be crushed by future obstacles. You develop a mindset that sees challenges as opportunities to learn, not as confirmations of failure. This psychological flexibility is essential for long-term success and well-being. It allows you to adapt, innovate, and persevere even when the path gets hard. The stronger your resilience, the more unstoppable you become. It's crucial to recognize that forgiving yourself is part of this process. Self-forgiveness is not weakness. It is strength. It is a conscious act of compassion that breaks the cycle of self-punishment and fuels self-love. When you forgive yourself, you reclaim your power. You decide that your mistakes will no longer dictate your emotions or choices. Instead, you commit to moving forward with wisdom gained from experience, not weighed down by regret. Imagine the emotional transformation that comes from waking up with this mindset every day. You start your mornings feeling lighter, freer, and more empowered. Your energy shifts from dragging old burdens to creating new possibilities. This shift changes everything: your relationships, your work, your health, and your sense of purpose. The freedom from your past becomes a foundation for a future filled with growth and joy. So choose today to tell yourself, My past does not define me. I am free to create a new story. Let this truth anchor your thoughts and actions. When you do, you step into a life driven not by fear or regret, but by hope and courage. This is your chance to rewrite your story, starting now, with every breath and every choice. This is how transformation begins. Have you ever stopped to consider the power that lies in simply accepting yourself as you are right now? Not the ideal version you imagine in your mind, not the person you think you should be, but the real you, flaws, doubts, and all. So many of us live trapped in a cycle of self-criticism, constantly battling an internal voice that whispers we're not enough. This relentless judgment chips away at our confidence, drains our energy, and silences the part of us that craves growth and joy. But what if the greatest gift you could give yourself each morning is unconditional acceptance? What if embracing yourself fully, without resistance or apology, could be the key that unlocks your true strength? Acceptance does not mean settling or giving up on becoming better. It means acknowledging your current reality with honesty and compassion. It's a radical act of kindness toward yourself that breaks the toxic cycle of perfectionism and self-rejection. When you accept who you are right now, you stop fighting against your own nature. You create a foundation of peace beneath the storm of your challenges. This peace isn't passive. It's the fertile soil where courage grows and transformation begins. Psychologically, acceptance shifts your brain's focus from threat to safety. When you judge yourself harshly, your nervous system responds as if you're under attack. Stress hormones flood your body, clouding your thinking and freezing your motivation. But acceptance signals to your brain that it's okay to relax, to be present with your imperfections without fear. This allows your mental clarity to return, your creativity to ignite, and your willpower to strengthen. Your inner dialogue becomes a source of support, not sabotage. Every morning, remind yourself that you are worthy of love and respect simply because you exist. This belief rewires deep neural pathways that determine how you experience yourself and the world. Instead of bracing for failure or rejection, you begin to approach each day with a quiet confidence rooted in self-compassion. This confidence is not arrogance, it is resilience, a steady, unshakable strength that helps you move forward even when things get tough. When you accept yourself, you also give yourself permission to be imperfect. This freedom dissolves the paralyzing fear of making mistakes that often keeps you stuck. You start to see errors not as proof of inadequacy, but as essential steps in your learning and growth. This mindset releases the grip of fear and invites curiosity, experimentation, and risk-taking. Your path unfolds more naturally, guided by a deeper trust in your own ability to handle whatever comes. Imagine waking up each morning and meeting your reflection with kindness instead of criticism. Picture the relief and energy that flows from no longer fighting yourself. Acceptance is the key to healing emotional wounds, breaking free from limiting beliefs, and igniting lasting change. It fuels a momentum that grows stronger with each day, turning your self-relationship into a powerful source of motivation. So today, tell yourself this simple truth: I accept myself fully, right here and now. Let this acceptance soften the harshest parts of your inner voice. Let it light a path of courage and transformation. When you begin with acceptance, you lay the groundwork for every other victory. You become unstoppable, not because you are perfect, but because you are whole.